The first part of our marriage, my wife did not do a good job at growing plants. Now, that's not a criticism because I couldn't grow a plant either. But now she's like a professional, what do they call it? Like botanist almost. We have edible landscaping in front of the house. We got grapevines. We got tomatoes. We got cabbage. The girl can plant some stuff now, grow some things now. Well, one day she asked me to come in the kitchen to help her take this plant out of one pot and put in another pot. And I understand why, but the second pot was bigger. But now I understand what was happening was this pot in this plant, this small pot, needed more space to grow. So we had to repot it. And I think about that as I think about working with kids and students, because sometimes we have to make sure we treat them like plants and give them space to grow. I'm Mr. Brown. This is Connecting Faith and Life. If you benefit from this ministry or your students do, please consider donating. Visit proclaimministry.com/give to find out more information. Now, before I get into today's episode, let me take you back. For some of you, that means way back to when you were a teenager. When you were a student, what kind of teenager were you? Were you the obedient kind? Or were you the rebel? Or just one of those kids somewhere in the middle? Not bad, not perfect, just trying to figure life out, and you were doing the best you could. Now, did you ever feel labeled? Let's say you were the rebel, and maybe you were 11, 12, 13 years old, you're a rebel, and then by the time you were 15, you kind of calmed down a little bit, but they still called you a rebel. Maybe you were a troublemaker, the dramatic one, always got the drama around you. But as you grew out of those seasons, people still kept those same labels on you, and the big question is this: how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel when people treated you like you used to be, not as you were or are today or were at that time? You follow what I'm saying? Some people are still traumatized by that even as adults, because when they go back home for the holidays, people still treat them as if they were those teenagers. They did not give them a chance to grow to be who they are today, so they still label them as that kid. What if the teenagers that we work with carry those labels too? What if those labels are keeping them from becoming the person you want them to be and who God is shaping them to be? And are we accidentally or unintentionally putting those labels on those kids? In this episode, I want to share with you a youth leader training that I did a while back, and a video of it, where I talk about giving kids space and even grace to grow. In this training, I talk about the idea of doubting Thomas, how he was labeled. I also talk about more about the idea of a plant and giving the plant space to grow deeper roots. Same thing with kids and teens. We have to give them space to grow. So let's jump to the video, and hopefully this video can help you as you are one who disciples teens and kids to help them connect faith and life. If you've been working with teenagers for any amount of time, you know that they're just different. They're different from you. Depending on the age gap, they say and do things that we don't understand. I'm getting older, right? And they do some strange things. And so did we as kids. And I'll be honest with teenagers. When I work with them, I look, I will respect you. And sometimes adults, we struggle respecting you because we don't understand y'all. Y'all do some crazy stuff. And they start to laugh because they would agree with that. But so did we as kids, and the adults didn't understand us. But I believe this: even though we don't fully understand them, I think we need to do this. Give them space to grow. Give them space to grow, to be the person that God is making them to be and who we want them to be, because we're pouring into them. What I mean by that is this: I'm not saying we don't hold them accountable, we don't call them out on their junk, but what we do is this: give them space to grow. Don't label them as the person that they were when we met them, to where they will always be that person. For an example, if you meet them when they're 12, they're being really silly, 13, 14, hopefully they've grown over the years, over the months, because guess what? We're not the same people we were last month, last year, so give them space to grow as well. I think a two illustration helped me think about that when I deal with not just teenagers, deal with anybody, give everybody space to grow, but especially in this context, the teenagers. And the first example is in John chapter 20, starting in verse 24. It's of a guy that people call Doubting Thomas. He's been labeled that, but did he always doubt? Let's read it. John chapter 20, starting in verse 24. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the mark of the nails, and place my hand in his side, I will never believe." Well, 8 days later, his disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands, and put your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe. Thomas answered him, my Lord and my God. Jesus said to him, have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen me and yet have believed. Now, when I think of that story, when I was growing up, he was still called Doubting Thomas because he doubted one time, but after he saw Jesus, he believed. He even said, my Lord and my God. He was not the same person 8 days later when he told him he would never believe. Now he saw Jesus, he believed, but he was labeled that. And what I really thought was interesting here too, Jesus didn't label him. Jesus gave him space to grow because Jesus wasn't there with them when he said that he wouldn't believe, but Jesus knew, right? Because Jesus knows all things, so Jesus is God. He told him, hey, he invited him, put your finger here. See, it's me. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the Lord, that he gives us space to grow. And we should be giving other people space to grow, especially as our teens. Give them space to grow. A second illustration, I think, is of planting and growing plants. One day, my wife, she called me in the kitchen, said, hey, can you help me move this? I need to break this pot because I'm trying to take it out of this pot and put it in a bigger pot because the roots got so big, right? So she wanted to break it. And I said, well, let me see. So I grabbed it, kind of wiggled a little bit, picked it up, put it in there. I was the man. I felt good at that time. But the point is this, that pot, in order for it to grow, we need to give it space to grow so it can grow the way it needs to grow. Same thing with the students you work with. Give them space to grow, just like God gave us space to grow. Think about that as you interact with teenagers. Hopefully it's helpful for you and for them to live for God by connecting faith and life. Peace! That train, we need to get this insulated so we don't hear all that. Yeah.